Am I the asshole for refusing someone a drink in the hospital? I was in the emergency ward a few months ago because a car hit me while I was cycling home. They were at fault and brought me to the hospital in case of hidden injuries because I made quite the tumble, and my neck hurt really bad. After all the scans, we were waiting for the results, and there was this other guy in a similar situation. I'm not sure what happened to him, but he was also waiting for the results to come back. He started to feel dizzy, and with no one accompanying him, he asked for my mother if she could get him a cola. Now, when at the emergency ward, this hospital asks to not drink or eat anything before you are cleared to do so. I told my mom to get the nurse instead. The nurses were taking way too long, and the guy kept begging for a cola. He really was looking pale, too. I was torn between getting it for him and the fear of doing wrong by him. But I kept a stance with my initial opinion, especially because it was very hard for the guy to say why exactly he needed the cola so badly. Two other guys wanted to give him a sip of their Red Bull, and I said that was even worse. The guy asked for something to eat instead because he had not eaten yet either. We already rang the alarm bell that this was an emergency because he was slowly starting to pass out, and eventually, the nurses came. But everyone was mad at me because the nurses gave him cola because he was diabetic. My mother's argument is that he knows his body best and is not asking for cola for no reason. My argument was that he was in the hospital for something we did not know, and I did not want to end up giving him something that could speed up something bad. Why else would there be signs to not eat or drink before you were told by a nurse that you were allowed? I still feel bad and like I was the cause for the guy to get near to passing out, possibly worse. I denied this guy multiple drinks and a snack to only find out it would have been fine in the end. Was I the asshole? Edit. Grammar and to add some context. The guy did not have any indication on him that he was diabetic and did not say it. My mom did say he might be by the time he nearly passed out, and people started to take more action. The hospital is and has been for a while quite understaffed. Where I am from, there is a high need for more nurses, especially for the emergency room. Not the asshole. You don't know what's wrong with him or what they're doing with him. Had they been prepping him for surgery and you gave him something to eat or drink, that would have delayed his surgery by 8-12 hours or significantly increased the danger of the surgery, because the point could vomit during surgery. It's not your place to know or ask about these things. You did the right thing by calling the nurse. The only other thing you could have done was send someone to get the nurse, since this guy was passing out. Still, not your responsibility. I'm sure the nurses were busy and not just goofing off, and that's a problem with the healthcare system, not you or them. Bottom line, not the asshole in any way. Did he say he was diabetic? Before he passed out? Not the asshole, he was in hospital for reasons unknown. Your mother would be blaming you for acting if you had given him something and he'd been ill due to it. Also, your mother was the one adult in the situation who wasn't in pain and possibly confused she had legs and a voice. She could have walked over to reception and asked as he was on point of passing out. Edit. Giving food to a diabetic can be bad too. Almost hurt a friend badly that way because of way blood glucose going. I did what first aid courses advised but not right for that very specific case. If he had passed it, people on hand who could cope properly with situation. Not the asshole. You are not a medical provider and it's not your fault the was understaffed. You did the right thing. Hope you are feeling better. Not the Never give a patient anything to eat or drink to those you don't know. And especially those in the pending test may require them not to eat or drink. They may have something going on with the stomach or worse, having difficulty swallowing. The triage nurse should be told the patient is desperate for a drink and you're concerned. Then it's up to them. If patient is diabetic, the sugar may be too high, which causes thirst. A Coke will make it even higher. If sugar is too low, a Coke may catapult the sugar level too fast into the too high range. Know you mean well and you want to help, but I'd refrain. This is on the hospital for poor staffing and slow response due to it. You cannot give another patient food or drink without knowing anything about them. Hell, post-giving birth I had complications and bleeding and they would not give me any water or even ice chips, even with me mumbling, $50 for a cup of ice chips, because surgery could have been possible. Not to mention in our litigious society, if there were complications that'd be on you. Not the asshole. Am I the asshole for not telling my section head that my fan was in my car? It was really hot at work today and yesterday, so yesterday I bought in my 5-inch fan to sit on my desk and blast at my face, which really helps. I know it doesn't bring the temp down, but it makes it okay to work in the heat. The section head saw that I had it and asked if she could borrow it for a bit, and I didn't want to, but she was overheating, so I said yes. When I asked for it back about half an hour later, she said that she still needed it as she was going to be on a call and had to be focused and not sweaty, so I said okay, but I was really getting hot by this point. After the call ended, which took another hour, I came to fetch the fan and she looked really annoyed, but I took it back. Then she said she needed to get some work done and so needed a fan, and so made me give it back to her, and then she kept it for the rest of the day. I was quite annoyed and really hot by the end of the day, and by the time she gave it back to me it had run out of battery and it uses the old USB port, so I couldn't plug it in. So I charged it last night, and today I decided to leave it in my car as I didn't want to bring it up just for someone else to use, I guess, and she asked if I had it and I said no. Then later she left for lunch and I was hot again, so I went and got it and cooled down. It was really great. Then when she came back she said that she thought I had said I didn't have it, and then I said that's right, it was in my car, and she said that I should have said that and I think I was allowed to say I didn't have it. Anyway, she basically took it then, saying she needed it for a call like she did yesterday. Also, there aren't really any shops around the office, only a sandwich bar, so you couldn't really go and get one, although we do have Amazon deliveries. So anyway, I don't want to bring in my fan just for someone else to use, so I think I'll stop or hide it, but I don't think I was wrong to not say it was in my car. Am I the asshole, eh? Use your words. No. This is my fan, not yours. I'm using it. If you want a fan, buy one. Essentially, grow a spine. Everyone sucks here. She needs to stop taking your fan and you need to grow a spine and tell her no. Lying is not the answer. Repeat after me. No. Use as needed. Sorry man, you dropped the ball here. She didn't make you give her the fan. You just didn't say no. She can't just take your property no matter who she is. You should have never given it to her in the first place and left it at home if you can't say no to another adult. Why is nobody doing anything about the heat in the building? Esh. Not the asshole, but learn to say no. Or simply say, I'm using it. But you can get them at Walmart, Amazon, or Target if you need your own. Not the asshole. She is perfectly capable of purchasing her own fan, and now that she has seen the value of it she should do so. Am I the asshole for not allowing visitors in my home while I'm not around? My husband and I recently moved our family to a new home. Literally 3 days ago, boxes everywhere, nothing in order. During the transition I needed some time to myself to clean the old place. My mom offered to babysit my baby at our new home while I was away. No issues with that. However, halfway through the day, I called to check on my baby and mom and hear other children screaming in the background. Confused, my mother then tells me my niece, and nephew came over to see me but then discovered I wasn't home. So instead of leaving they let themselves in for the rest of the day, several hours, without anyone that actually lives at that home present. When I communicated that my husband and I are not okay with my mom letting other people into the house while we're not home for a number of reasons, she got very defensive and said, well, they just walked in themselves. What am I supposed to do, kick them out? Yes. Anyway, we communicated the boundary with both brother-in-law and mom. But man, is this such a crazy thing to not want a bunch of people in your home when you're not around? Edits for clarification for those asking. My mom is my sister and Bill's primary childcare provider. She asked for the day off to watch my baby for the day a month ago. He knew where I was and knew what she was doing. My mom offered to watch my baby, so I decided sure, I'll keep my baby home from her regular childcare even though I'm still paying for it, to give my mom the opportunity to bond with my baby that she hardly gets to see. My brother-in-law tends to let the kids run rampant with little supervision, so I was additionally upset when I arrived home to handprints on walls, beds and couches jumped on, and lemons and moving boxes smooshed and all over the backyard. OMG. Definitely not the asshole. I would be upset too. Is this payback for a party you threw in her house as a teen or something? Lol. Not the asshole. Your mom could have contacted you to check, or just said, Op isn't here right now, and I'm in the middle of watching the baby. I'll tell Op you stopped by though. Not the asshole. This was unacceptable as hell. It's a perfectly normal and average boundary. Most people have that boundary. New place or not, your mother, despite who she is, doesn't just get to have guests at your home, again, despite their connection to you. She could easily have called, texted, anything. Yes, she asks them to leave. Op has gone back to work. I'm just staying with the baby. I'll let them know you stopped by, it's not hard. She 100% knew she could ask you. And, oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't thinking, would have sufficed. The whole, what was I supposed to do? Spiel isn't okay, either. Not the asshole. Your family doesn't have rights to just walk in your home when you're not home, even if you are home, if you don't give them permission to. Your house, your rules. Nah, I totally agree with your boundary, but I also can understand why your mom would have had a hard time kicking out her son-in-law and grandchildren. She didn't invite them over, but when the kids see grandma, how can she tell them to get out? I'd give her a break and assume this was a one-off. Not the asshole, especially since there were kids involved and who knows what they'll get into. I think I'd be less bothered, but still bothered, if it was just adults that stayed to say hi to your mom for a bit since she was already there. But I don't want a bunch of kids running around my new place like that when I'm not there. And I'd still be annoyed about adults staying to visit, but I'm not sure if I would have said anything, depending on my relationship with them. Am I the asshole for leaving a bad review after paying $100 plus for a cake that was nothing like what I asked for? Apologies for any formatting issues. I'm on mobile. Back in February, just before my birthday, I had an idea because my sister, who's gluten sensitive, probably hasn't had a real birthday cake in years. Just gluten-free pastries. So, I decided to go all out this year and order her a special cake from a local gluten-free baker I'd seen posting in a Facebook group. Her cakes always looked amazing, and I thought this would be a perfect treat. Since it was February and the cake wouldn't be needed until May, I figured it would give her plenty of time to let me know if she couldn't do it. I spent over $100 on the cake, with charges for a fresh fruit compote and edible glitter. The design I asked for was a vintage heart cake in pastel orange, classic, with hand-piped lettering, glitter beneath the letters, and arches of frosting. I sent Emma, not real name, 3 photos as references. She seemed excited and assured me she could make it happen. Cut to May 11 p.m. the night before I was supposed to pick up the cake, I get an email from Emma. She had frosted the cake in the wrong color. She offered a partial refund but didn't send any photos of how the cake looked. I thanked her for the offer but politely mentioned I was a little disappointed it wasn't the orange I had ordered. She then offered to re-ice the cake entirely, which I appreciated. The next day, I rushed home from work while my mom picked up the cake. When I opened the box, my heart sank. The cake was completely different from what I'd ordered. It was wide, flat, and possibly only one layer, nowhere near the height I requested. The color was a pinkish orange, but it didn't have the edible glitter I'd paid for. It was clearly a home baker situation and not the professional style I'd be told she could do. No hate. I am a home baker too. I was still holding out hope that maybe the taste would make up for the visual disappointment, so I decided to wait until we tried it. But when we did, the cake was incredibly dry, maybe overbaked. And instead of the promised fresh fruit compote, it had frozen berries. So, I emailed Emma, attaching photos comparing the cake I received with the one I had requested. I told her I wasn't asking for a refund but wished she had let me know earlier that she couldn't make the cake I'd asked for so I could have found another baker. Since I didn't hear back from her and I wanted to leave an honest review, I wrote, the cake was dry and didn't match the design I requested, explained what was wrong, but it was still good. I wish the business all the best. That's when things took a turn. Emma replied to my review, and I honestly felt my stomach drop. She accused me of altering the photos and said I shouldn't have left a review at all. I'm not a photographer, I'm an accountant, and I didn't alter anything, I don't even know how. I thought my review was quite mild, considering the situation, but now I'm wondering, did I overstep? So, am I the asshole for leaving this review? Not the asshole. You said you sent her example photos? There's no way I'd let her response stand. Pushed back and replied to her response. I have text, email, messenger proof of the photos I sent you to prove what I originally asked for back in February. If this ask was not something you could provide, you should have declined the job. So many people have started side hustles like this, no matter how underqualified they are. It's not okay to charge that much for such a subpar job when there's actual skilled bakers out there who could have done what you asked. Not the asshole. She made a shitty cake and she knows she made a shitty cake. What's the point of reviews if only good ones are left? And I wonder how many of her reviews are even real if this cake was so bad. Edit the review to state what the owner did. Make sure everyone knows what happened. Finally, name and shame. Bad business owners don't get to hide behind anonymity when the customer has an issue. And yes, not the asshole. Not the asshole. You had a bad experience with her and left a bad review. Her jumping to discredit you is just crazy. You should reverse image search cakes she's posted because I have a feeling her pictures might be stolen and this is just how she operates. Not the asshole. A picture is worth 1,000 words. Her response says quite a bit more about her business as well. I would not trust this place after reading your review and would personally thank you if I could. Saved a lot of people hassle dealing with someone like that.